Hello and welcome. You're watching the business news brought to you by Blytheway on Core TV, and I'm Charlie Gibson. Now, sometimes when we interview a company or its chief executive, the clue is in the name, and I think this is probably one of those which is a case in point. The company, I will tell you, is US Gold Corp, and we're very pleased and privileged to have joining us the President and Chief Executive Officer, Edward Karr. Edward, thank you very much indeed for joining us today. So I said that the clue was in the name, US Gold Corp. That is actually what you do, isn't it? As you do what you say on the tin, as they say.
Yeah, it really is. And thanks so much for having us back, Charlie. It's really a pleasure to be here. So, US Gold Corp, as the name implies, we're a U.S. publicly traded company. Our symbol actually is USAU, so US Gold. On the NASDAQ implies as well what we do. And we're a gold explorer. We have two projects right now in the company. Copper King, which is our more advanced stage project in the state of Wyoming, and Keystone, a big blue sky exploration project on the Cortez Trend in Nevada.
So which one should we be talking about? Which is the one that gets you up in the morning, the one that excites you?
Both.
Okay, well, let's talk about Copper King then.
Okay, great.
Now, your US Gold Corp, is it a misnomer that it's called Copper King? Should it really be called Gold King?
Well, that's a great question. You know, it's a gold copper porphyry deposit. What originally attracted us to Copper King is we know that there is a known resource and a deposit there. It is an open surface deposit, has a high grade center with a lower grade halo around that high grade center. We had a preliminary economic assessment, a PEA, done last year and updated by Mine Development Associates. That shows about a 1.1 million ounce measured, indicated, and inferred gold resource and a 300 million pound copper resource as well. So the economics are about 70% gold, 30% copper currently. However, at Copper King, we drilled out there this summer, and we're actually expanding the resource. So we're showing that there is blue sky exploration upside potential.
So what's the next step there at Copper King? More drilling, bigger resource, pre-feasibility study, go back and do another preliminary estimate on the increased resource? How are you going to take it forward?
Yeah, that's exactly it. So we've actually announced publicly that we've engaged Data Mine out of Denver, Colorado. We are putting all of the historic drill database and our current drill data into that software program. That'll give our geologists and our entire team, led by Dave Mathewson, a real picture for the geology, the exploration model, and where we should go forward from here. As I mentioned, we still believe the deposit is open. If we can increase more ounces of gold and pounds of copper, it'll increase the overall net present value of the project. And then what we'd like to do in 2019 is really update our preliminary economic assessment, hopefully into even a pre-feasibility study, as you mentioned, really try and find out how big this deposit can grow. Ultimately, what we're going to do is apply to the state of Wyoming for a production permit and put this project into production.
Is it deep? I mean, when you say it's open, I assume you mean at depth, because copper porphyries are usually vertical things. So does it crop out on surface? Yeah,
it's from surface right to a depth of about, the deepest drill hole is about 600 feet. So
what's that, 200 meters?
Yeah, 200 meters, just a little less, 180 meters or so.
So that's an open pit.
But real nice open pit, yeah. Yeah.
But there's probably another 200, 400 meters below it, isn't there? I mean,
there could very well be. The historic drill holes have actually, they cut them off in mineralization, so it certainly could get deeper. But as you know, with the confines of an open pit construction, you only drill down to about a certain depth, and after that it'd be a below ground resource.
What is your cost of drilling?
The cost of drilling out in Wyoming, we've been drilling RC, reverse circulation, which currently right now all in is about $30 a foot.
So that's what, $100 a minute. So that's correct. Pretty cheap drilling. And then what do you have to do in terms of actually bringing this to production, in terms of what is the permitting process and what are the timelines, do you think?
So to put this into production, what we would have to do is actually file a mine plan with the state of Wyoming. And to file that mine plan, we actually need to know the size of the resource. So this summer in 2018, we did an exploratory drill program, drilled 8 holes. 5 of those hit additional mineralization. We're growing the size of the deposit. So that's what we're looking at the Data Mine software program now, seeing how big this is going to get. We think we'll do some more exploration drilling in 2019. And once we're very confident that we know how big this deposit's going to get, then we would file a mine plan with the state of Wyoming. So that might be the second half of 2019. We would file it with the state regulators out of Cheyenne. Copper King is on all state state of Wyoming grounds, so we only deal with the state of Wyoming regulators. We don't have to deal with the federal regulators here, which is the BLM and the EPA. And the state of Wyoming would then look at the mine plan permit and ultimately give us a pathway towards production.
Wyoming, which is a Republican-leaning state?
It tends to be, yep. Dick Cheney is from Wyoming, so it's very mining friendly. It has a very Western attitude. They're proud in Cheyenne of the fact that we only have to deal with the state of Wyoming regulators and we don't have to deal with the Washington, D.C. bureaucracy. So we think that this could be a faster permitting pathway than going off a U.S. federal government sort of project.
Now, is that, because if I think about copper projects in the U.S., there have been some that have met some environmental opposition, and you know, Pebble, I suppose, is the obvious one,
right.
Up in Alaska. The Rosemont has also encountered some opposition.
Yep.
Is that something you then avoid then if you interface with the state regulators as opposed to with the federal government?
It's a good question. I don't know if we'll avoid it, but I do think that the state of Wyoming regulators are real favorable to work with us. We'll certainly have to do all of the environmental studies needed. You know, the state of Wyoming is a very mining-friendly state. There's a lot of coal mines, there's a lot of uranium mines, and Copper King is a fairly simple project to put into production. So as long as we get through all of our environmental studies, we believe the state regulators are going to be real allies and friends. I point out as well, Charlie, the state of Wyoming has a 5% NSR on the Copper King project. So they really want to see this go into production. They want to get those revenues in the future.
NSR, so that's the royalty that the state will receive. If this goes in, they get 5% off the top line.
Exactly, right off the top.
So
yeah.
Very much in their favor. The PEA that you did, it must have an NPV and it must have an IRR.
It does. The NPV done December of 2017 was $178.5 million, so quite robust. And that was done at $12.75 gold and $2.80 copper. So we're right around the copper price today, a little lower on the gold price. But
not that much. I mean,
not that much.
You're within a couple of percent of the gold price. So.
Exactly. The IRR is 33%.
Is that pre-tax or post-tax?
That is post-tax.
Post-tax.
Yep. So
it's higher pre-tax.
Correct. Cash flow, estimated net cash flow is about $300 million, 17-year life of mine, and looking at about 9,800 tons a day throughput. Estimated capex to put this project into production is about $113 million, and we're very confident that we can raise that through project finance.
Would that debt or equity or?
Probably a combination of both, but mainly
50-50-ish?
Yeah, mainly debt. I think even more, maybe 70% debt, 30% on the equity side.
So 178 million, did you say, on the NPV?
Yes.
And that's discounting at a discount rate of 5%?
5%.
Okay.
Yep.
How many shares have you got in issue?
18.6 million.
So if I divide one by the other, I'm getting what, about $2? No, I'm getting about just shy of $10 a share.
$8, $9 a share.
Okay, and your shares are actually trading at about one-ish.
Yeah, exactly. So very, very undervalued. You know, when you look at, we have
And you have
18.6
cash.
million shares outstanding. We have cash. We have no debt. We're listed on the NASDAQ. Plus, we also have Keystone in Nevada. So
let's talk about Keystone.
Great segue to switch in. So Keystone doesn't have a defined resource like Copper King. It is all blue sky. But I call it our exploration unicorn. And why unicorn? I really believe, Charlie, that Keystone...
Now, Cynic's going to say because it doesn't exist.
Yeah, well, true. But it has the potential to turn US Gold Corp into substantial valuation. But in this market, as you know, we need to deliver the results. We need to deliver a drill hole. The real value of Keystone is the location. We are located on the Battle Mountain Eureka Trend in Nevada, otherwise known as the Cortez Trend. We're about 10 miles south of Barrick Gold's Cortez Hills mine. So you can see the Cortez Hills mine directly from the Keystone project. This has been identified and consolidated by Dave Mathewson. He's a well-known Nevada early-stage exploration geologist, ran the exploration program, was one of the co-founders of Gold Standard Ventures. Before that, he ran exploration for Newmont Mining, so very, very experienced.
Now, these sort of gold trends in Nevada, this is mining for big boys, I'm going to suggest. It's low grade, it's high tonnage, it has to be very efficient.
Yeah.
That's why it's done by the likes of Barrick. Is it for the likes of you?
Well, really our business model here is exploration. So we are trying to find a world-class discovery, a Carlin-type deposit. And when you look at our northern neighbors, you look at Cortez Hills, that's a 10 million plus ounce, high-grade monster. Across the valley, Pipeline, 20 million ounces. These are the economic backbone of Barrick Gold. So one drill hole actually makes a discovery. At the end of November, Barrick announced a new discovery just south of Cortez Hills called 4 Mile. And they had a really, really exciting drill hole. That made the discovery. They're now building out the size of that deposit. And that's what we're going for at Keystone. We really believe that all of the geological conditions show us another major world-class discovery is just lurking in the shadows there.
So when are we going to know if you got that discovery? What are we looking for? What is the perfect drill hole for you that says you've got a world-class discovery?
Well, there's a lot of them, and you'd have to talk to a geologist, but geologists will definitely concur that one drill hole denotes a discovery. So let's wait and see. As far as the catalyst, we are drilling right now. December of 2018, we have the drills turning at Keystone. We just recently announced this. We are coming to the end of our autumn 2018 drill program because Keystone's at altitude and the snows start coming in, so you have to get the drill rigs off the property. We're probably going to finish up towards the end of this week, so by mid-December we are done. We have drilled so far up to 6 holes. I think it's going to be 6 holes, and these are all targeted holes. This fall, the Bureau of Land Management, the BLM, actually granted our plan of operations. So they approved our environmental assessment, our plan of operations. It's game-changing for us at Keystone because we have 200 acres of disturbance. We can go anywhere on the project. And this fall drill program is real targeted shots on net. So we're trying to score a goal.
So when you say the BLM, the Bureau of Land Management, that's federal government?
Correct.
Stuff. So you're having to interface with the federal government in Nevada?
Correct.
Not the state government as you are in Wyoming?
You have to interact actually with both. So the BLM signed off, and then NDEP, which is the Nevada Department of Environmental Protection, has to sign off as well. So you have to interact both with the federal government and the state regulators at the Keystone project.
And what is the politics of Nevada? Is it? I mean, it obviously has a great mining history to it.
Yeah.
But what are the politics like now?
Very mining-friendly state. The state swings between Democratic and Republican representatives and senators, but it really is mining-friendly. You look at Barrick Gold, Newmont Mining. This is the backyard of both of those major mining companies. It's one of the biggest mining states in the United States of America.
So you put down that drill hole, which denotes a discovery at Keystone.
Yeah.
Do you then raise a flag saying for sale? Is that the plan?
That could be one of the plans.
And do you raise it over the asset or over the company?
Yeah, ultimately what we're in the business of doing is, like all these companies, trying to create the shareholder value. So when you look at gold exploration business model, we buy low, hopefully we're going to sell high. I don't think a small company like ours would ever have the capacity to put a project like Keystone into production. But ultimately, we need to come with the discovery. Our business model is all about making the discoveries. So what type of drill hole is it going to be? What depth is it going to be? What grade is it going to be? It's too early right now to tell, but we should have assays from these drill holes coming out by mid-January. And this could really be a game-changing event for us.
I must ask you, we're very used to talking to Canadian explorers, not more used to talking to US miners rather than explorers.
Yeah.
Why are you an exception? Why are you a US company and not a Canadian company in this particular case? And does it make a difference?
Sure. I think it really does make a difference. And we believe Nevada is one of the primary places, one of the best jurisdictions to be exploring for gold. There's still a tremendous amount of gold, we believe, to be discovered in Nevada. Like I mentioned, Barrick Gold's 4 Mile discovery just about 10 miles north of us, which just happened. We think Keystone is one of the best exploration projects Dave Mathewson has seen in his 40-year career. So as I mentioned, we really believe there is a world-class deposit just lurking in the shadows. Every drill hole that we have drilled at Keystone, incredible alteration, incredible brecciation, anomalous gold from top to bottom, pathfinder indicators, off-the-chart arsenic, orpiment, realgar, etc. So the big elephant is out there. We just have to put that drill hole into one of the high-grade feeder zones. And it's a wonderful place to be exploring for gold.
Do you get enough support from US institutions? Because I see that most of your shareholders are individuals. As far as I could make out, most of your shareholders are individuals, not institutions.
Yeah.
You will at some point, especially if you want to bring one of these to production, you're going to need institutional support.
We really believe we will. I mean, you look at our market cap right now, just below $20 million. It's usually below the cutoff point of a lot of institutions, but there's a lot of institutions watching us. We currently have 2 research analysts that cover us, Roth Capital, Joe Rieger, and H.C. Wainwright with Heiko Ile. So both have published research, both have buy recommendations and higher price targets on us. So, but as you point out, we're predominantly retail held up until this point because most of the institutions out there, they have limited capital. It's been a very challenging market over the last couple of years, and they all want to see the results. You know, I say this is a market from Missouri. The license plate tag from Missouri in the United States is the show me state. So if we can show a drill hole, if we can really come with the results, I believe then a lot of institutions would become shareholders of US Gold Corp.
What's the level you think you need to get to before, you know, in terms of market cap? What's the point at which US institutions become interested?
You know, $50 million, usually some institutions start coming in, $75 million, a lot of the junior ETFs, a lot of the junior indices start picking up companies. So those are 2 key ranges right there.
Is it easier now when you interface from a business perspective with these federal agencies?
We have, and it's a great question. I mean, under the Obama administration, there was a lot of bureaucracy. Bureaucracy definitely increased in the mining sector specifically. Now under the Trump administration, they are trying to cut back some of that red tape, but it's still a process that you have to go through. We interact with the BLM, with the state regulators in Wyoming, with the Nevada Department of Environmental Protection, you know, lots of different agencies. So it's a highly regulated sort of sector of the overall market, and we just have to continue to interact with it. Would we love to see less interaction and faster permitting processes? Of course. I think everyone in the private sector would, and hopefully that will come more in the future.
We wish you the very best of luck. Excellent. All right, Edward, thank you very much indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Edward Karr, the President and CEO of US Gold Corp, and shares traded on NASDAQ. One of the few US explorers, you heard him explain it there, so go and have a look. The NPV was 178 million?
178.
178, and about 18.6 million shares in issue?
Correct.
So about $9-ish a share. Shares trading at 1 at the moment, so and you heard where you could get some research there. So go and take a look and see what you make of it. I'm afraid that's all we got time for. We'll be back next week with more such opportunities in the mining sector, I hope. And until then, this is me, Charlie Gibson, signing off for the business news brought to you by Blytheway. Until next week, you have a very capital day.